Hi guys, this is Ms. Hong. Today's June 8th, Monday. And guys, we have about 2.5 weeks left. And my seniors, you have final benchmark gone today. So Monday, you have final benchmark, and your grading report ends at this Wednesday. And my sophomores and juniors, you have finals next week, 16, 17. That'll be NWEA, not Edulastic Benchmark. But anyway, you have something next week. And I'm gonna give you a test like at the end of this week or at the end of next week. Alright? So like some big things coming. So just be prepared. Alright? And okay, let's start it. So guys, this is like actually the last things learning for this year, but like end of this marking period and end of this year, I'm gonna go over equations and function again. But like discriminant, the today's lesson, that is like something new, because when I go over the graph and the equation, or graph and the function and equation and properties, that's like we already did it at the beginning of quadratic functions, but I just want to go over and I want to connect everything together. So that's like kind of big review, but this is the last like learning topic, something new. All right, so let's go guys. So I chose 3 problems from your I think that was from the homework, I think. So let's go over the thing. And last class we learned about quadratic formula, right? So let me write the quadratic formula here. So it is x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? That was my quadratic formula. And we will do something more from the formula, all right? But before we start today's lesson, I want to find the solutions from these 3 equations using quadratic formula, all right? So let's look at number 1. Then first, before we use the quadratic formula, you need to identify your A, B, and C, right? So your A, 1, your B, 3, and C, negative 2, right? And what did I say? I want you to do the inside of the radical first, right? So I'm gonna do b squared minus 4ac, right? Then that is 3 squared minus 4, 1, and negative 2. And you see this negative turn to positive. 4 times by 2, you get 8. 3 squared, 9, right? So will be 17. So that number goes into your under the square root, right? So my solution will be negative b plus minus square root of 17 over 2a, right? And when you simplify that, will be x equals negative 3 plus minus square root of 17 over 2. And you know what? Do you see the plus minus sign? So that means you can break it into 2 different numbers. Negative 3 plus square root of 17 over 2, or negative 3 minus square root of 17 over 2. So you can split it into 2 different forms. But that already includes this too, so you can just keep that form, but I just want you to know you can break it down like that. All right? So we got our solutions like this, and let's move on to number 2, right? So to do this one, do you see that's not 0 here? That's 6, right? So we need to make it 0 first. So I'm gonna do minus 6, minus 6. So you cancel this, you get 0 on the right side, and negative 2 x squared plus x minus 6, right? And then I told you, if your A is negative, we change it to positive, right? So 2x squared minus x plus 6, because you're just changing all the sign, right? And the other side, you just have 0, positive 0, negative 0, that's the same thing. So you just have 0 on the other side. And my a, 2. My b, negative 1. My c is 6, right? And then b squared minus 4ac. That is my b, that's negative 1. Negative 1 squared minus 4ac, right? Then you get negative 1 squared, that's 1, not negative 1, because that means what? Negative 1 times negative 1. So that turned to positive 1, and minus 4 times by 2, 8. 8 times by 6, 48. So 1 minus 48, which is negative 47, right? And I told you that number goes into what? Square root, under the square root, right? But we cannot have negative number under the square root. So there's no solution. So today's discriminant, that's something about this b squared minus 4ac. But anyway, let me write the solution for this, because you got negative 47. So we already know there's no solution, but let me see how does it look like. X equals negative b plus minus square root of negative 47 over 2a, right? You get this, and when you simplify that, you will get 1 plus minus square root of negative 47 over 4, right? But because of that, this is undefined. There's no number like that, because you cannot have negative number inside of the radical, right? So it's no solution, no real solution. I'm gonna say real because that's imaginary number. You will learn it on algebra 2 next year. No real number, no real solution, right? And then let's try this, number 3. Then that is my a's 1, my b's negative 2, my c's 1, right? And b squared minus 4ac. When you do that, then that is negative 2 squared minus 4ac, right? Then that's negative 2 squared, that's positive 4, right? Positive 4 minus 4 times by 1 times by 1, that is 4. What do you get? You get 0, right? You get 0. Then let's see what happened. My x, using quadratic formula, you get negative b plus or minus square root of, you put 0 for that, right? And 2a. Then guys, look, negative negative turn to positive, plus minus square root of 0, that's 0, right? 0 over 2. But look, plus minus 0, that is nothing. So we can just ignore this one. So what you get? Just 1 for the solution. You're not getting 2 solutions, right? So I want to connect discriminant with these 3 equations we just did. So like I reviewed quadratic formula, right? But look guys, sometimes you get 2 solutions like that. You get positive negative, right? Once you get positive negative, then you get 2 solutions, right? And look, like this, once you get negative number here, even though you have positive negative, that's what? Square root of negative number, that's undefined, right? In that case, you don't have any solution, no solutions, right? And like this, once your radical has 0, your b squared minus 4ac, that's 0. So when you put 0 under the radical, then what happened? You just lose this positive negative. So you get only 1 solution. 1 solution, right? 2 solutions, 1 solution, no solution. So this is the discriminant. So look at this one, guys. Real roots and the discriminant. So you know what, like review number 1, once you get your two solutions, right? When you get two solutions, then your graph looks like this. Because your number of solutions of equation, that's same as x-intercept of the graph. So you will get two x-intercepts like that. Depends on your A. If A is positive, you get opens up. If A is negative, then opens down, right? So you will get two solutions, and if the inside of the radical, if that's 0, then what? You get one solution, right? When you get one solution, that's your graph is touching x-axis. So you have only one x-intercepts, one solution and one x-intercepts. And it says two imaginary, but you will learn that term on algebra 2. So now I'm gonna use what? No solutions. No solution. I'm gonna say no solution. Once you get no solution, or inside of the radical is negative, or you can just use that imaginary, like that term, you can use that, but not yet. If you don't like it, you don't have to. So no solution, then what? There's no x-intercept, so your graphs just above the x-axis like that. There's no x-intercepts, right? And these three functions are just like when your A is negative, right? So this is like we can connect number of zeros and number of x-intercepts, right? Like this. And then look, what is discriminant? So this is a new term for today, discriminant. That is the portion of the quadratic formula under the square root sign that provides a means to determine the number of roots. So the portion called the discriminant. So we call what? This b squared minus 4ac. We already practiced that one, because when we use the quadratic formula, we want to make it easier. We calculate that value first and told you if that is negative, that's no solution, right? So it's the same thing. So discriminant, that is b squared minus 4ac. All right, so when I say discriminant, then now you answer that, oh, my discriminant is b squared minus 4ac, which is under the radical of the quadratic formula. All right, so if this is greater than 0, there are two real zeros, because what? Do you remember that? You can use that radical, and in front of the radical you have plus minus. So we can break it into two different solutions. That's why you get two real zeros. All right? And if that is equal to 0, then what was that? You get plus minus square root of 0, right? So I'm going to put plus sign here. When it is positive, right, then you can break it down into 2. So that's why you get 2 real. If that is equal to 0, then this plus minus, that's what? Useless, because after plus or minus, you have just 0. Plus 0, nothing. Minus 0, nothing, right? So you just get one real 0. And if inside of the radical, that is negative, then what? This is undefined. That is undefined. So no solution, like this. Okay, so we can determine number of the solution with discriminant. Okay, so guys, up to here is the lesson for today, but we have 2 guided practice, so I'm gonna solve this 2 guided practice on the second video. All right, I'll be back.